It's my pleasure to be with Mr. McAvoy today, the Chairman and CEO of ConEd. We also have representatives from the New York State Public Service Commission, New York State DEC, a number of ConEd personnel. As everybody knows, last night at approximately 9 p.m., there was a malfunction and a major electrical failure at this plant. A piece of equipment that handles 138,000 volts of electricity, which is an extraordinary amount, malfunctioned. The malfunction of that piece of equipment created essentially an arc that went from that piece of equipment, which is about 15 feet, 20 feet high, to ground. And the arcing of that electricity was basically a man-made lightning bolt from that arcing, which created a tremendous blue light, which people saw yesterday. The system also had a device, which is essentially a circuit breaker device, that did not trigger, and that is something that is going to be looked at. The Public Service Commission will be working with ConEd to review the equipment and to see if there are any modifications that can be made to make sure it doesn't happen again. I've spoken to the people at the Port Authority that runs LaGuardia Airport, which is one of the areas that was affected, to talk to them about their backup generation power. We expect situations to develop, but the redundancy in the system is important, and having LaGuardia having backup generators that allow LaGuardia to function is something that we're going to further explore. Con Edison got the power back on in an amazingly short period of time, given the malfunction, and LaGuardia was basically up and running within about 1 hour. So I think the Con Edison handled the situation very well. There was speculation when people saw the blue light as to what it might be. I'm a Queens boy, originally born and bred. People from Queens tend to be a little suspicious. There were some rumors that maybe it was an alien invasion, an alien light, UFO landing. And sometimes we can be skeptical of government bureaucracies. I saw the equipment, I saw the damage, I saw what was burned, and what it was is what it has been represented to be. It was an electrical malfunction. We did find one piece of evidence that is a little peculiar. This was on the site, which has raised some questions, but I'm told it's a piece of safety equipment for workers, which I believe. But there's no truth to the alien invasion or alien UFO landing whatsoever. And with that, let me turn it over to Mr. McAvoy, who is chairman of ConEd, to give you some more specifics about the actual occurrence.
Thank you very much, Governor. Good afternoon, all. First, I want to start by saying, on behalf of the company and myself personally, how deeply we regret the interruption and inconvenience that last night's incident caused to many of our customers and travelers in the area. We worked expeditiously to restore everything as quickly as possible, and we are absolutely committed to ensuring that we understand what occurred so that we can take actions to significantly reduce the likelihood of anything like this occurring again. This is the Astoria East substation. It operates at 138,000 volts. It's a transmission substation that really has three functions. One, to interconnect with other transmission substations. That's the grid, the transmission grid that you'll often hear about. Second, to take the output of large generating plants, and there are several on this facility that interconnect here at the Astoria East substation. And third, to connect to lower voltage substations that then bring the power to the actual customers business and residential customers for their use. Now, the equipment that failed last night is a voltage detector. Its technical name is called a CCPD, a capacitive coupling potential device. Think of it as something that monitors and reports voltage back to our control centers and to protective systems. That piece of equipment failed in a very significant manner, and that resulted in significant fault current, electric current going to ground, which caused incipient damage on some of the nearby bus work as well. The fault also went longer than would normally be expected because the relay protection system, a protective device, did not work as quickly as it normally would. That it was a very important part of our investigation and will certainly be part of our corrective actions. We were able to complete the restoration of the affected customers, including LaGuardia Airport and several hospitals, within the first 2 hours or less. And that's largely because we didn't actually lose any of the supplies to those facilities. There was a significant system disturbance, a voltage fluctuation, and equipment at those facilities saw that as a fault, and they opened up. And basically what needed to be done was to reset that equipment. So the fact that the supplies remained intact was a big part of why we were able to recover the system as quickly as possible. The system is now essentially in a normal position now, so no significant issues related to reliability, and the investigation and the corrective actions to restore the equipment to service, something that'll likely take us another week or so. But in the meantime, we wouldn't expect any other customer impact, and that we'll be committed to making sure that we understand what happened and we take the right actions to prevent it from happening again in the future. And I'd be happy to take any questions that any may have. Yeah, so whenever there is a fire, there is absolutely concern about particulate matter. It was relatively short in time, and it was here. You see this is something of an isolated facility, as much as you can have one in New York City. But you're always concerned about particulate. We have no indications of any asbestos involvement in any of the equipment that was burnt or was part of the fire or the arcing condition. Yeah, that you're referring to the Sandy failure, which occurred at the 13th Street substation on the east side of Manhattan. Similar in respect that when high voltage electrical equipment fails, it often has with it a very significant arc, and frankly, when it happens at night on a clear sky, it is very dramatic. Again, I mentioned that this one is even more dramatic because it went a little longer than would normally have been expected. But it's not unlike the flash incident that was recorded from Brooklyn looking at Manhattan when Sandy occurred. Completely different. That basically was the East River flooding, salt water impacting electrical equipment that resulted in that flash.
What happens is there was this station provides power to LaGuardia. The power went out. The FAA then basically closes flights to that airport. LaGuardia has backup power, but it's basically emergency backup power and not really a backup system that would allow the LaGuardia Airport to operate safely. The question this raises is how exorbitant would it be to put a backup system into LaGuardia that would actually allow LaGuardia to continue to function at the same rate? And that's something we're going to look into. But when an airport, LaGuardia, JFK, when they have a power shortage, any issue at the airport, the FAA issues a stop flight order to the airlines that are going in or taking off, and that's what happened here. It was restored roughly an hour later. Well, ConEd, as Mr. McAvoy said, is going to do an investigation. The PSC will work with him. Why did this piece of equipment fail? Why did the circuit breaker analogous piece of equipment fail? Could we have done anything different? And then we're going to be looking into the capacity of the backup generator for LaGuardia to see if it is indeed possible to run an airport on just backup power. Well, residents are in danger.
I would say that there is the normal danger associated with the fire and smoke condition. Other than that, no other local impacts that we saw as a result of it. And it was extinguished relatively quickly. In fact, the fire department didn't even have to come on the property. It basically burnt itself out in a very short period of time.
Anything else? Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Governor, thank you very much for coming out.
This was good. This was helpful, too.
Very helpful for us as well. Thank you always for your support.